Hi everyone, my name is Jin. I'm a high school teacher in New York, right outside the city. Welcome to my channel. So today I'm going to talk more about interactive slides. I was recently talking to my colleague Carlos Gomez, and we were talking about how interactive slides have really helped with our online instruction. It made lessons more organized and easier for students to follow. So while we were talking about this, he had a great idea. He said, why don't we do a 5E lesson for an interactive slides lesson? And if you're not familiar with 5E, 5E is a lesson format where it's very student-centered and inquiry-based, where students can really dive in and explore the material and ask questions and investigate. And of course, that's going to work a lot better in the physical classroom. But why not try and adapt that for online instruction? So as we were talking about it, we thought about some different tools that we could use to make this lesson interactive and engaging. And so we put together a demo lesson. And now typically 5E lessons are STEM lessons: science, technology, engineering, and math. So we thought, why not do something totally different? So our demo lesson is about haikus. And we use all different tools like Flipgrid and Jamboard and Quizizz. So let's go check out these interactive lessons, and I hope that you'll find them useful and you can use them in your classroom. Let's get started.
Here are the 5 E's of the 5E lesson format. There's engage, and that's where students are going to make connections between past and present learning experiences. This is how you're going to hook them in and motivate them into learning more about this subject. Then we have the explore. This is where students really dig in the classroom. This would be somewhere they could investigate and ask their own questions and investigate the answers to those questions. And it's just a way for them to get directly involved with what we want them to learn and explore that material. Explain is where they start to communicate what they're learning and put that into words, put it sequencing events and being able to explain to solidify their own learning. In elaborate, they start to expand on these concepts. They make connections to other concepts, and it's a way to extend their learning. And in evaluate, which in the classroom would be an ongoing process with student to teacher conversation, as well as class discussion and many diagnostic tools. But evaluate is where you determine if they are really understanding the concepts and knowledge. Now, the 5E lesson format can be used for anything. I use it all the time in computer science. Carlos uses it in math. In this example, I'm going to use haikus as my example for this lesson. Here are my interactive slides. Right now, I'm showing you on the publish to web option. So it's a lightweight website that anyone can open, and it's great for sharing on Google Classroom or any other platform that you use. So you'll see on the next slide, I've added some audio.
Press the play button to watch this video. When you're done, either hit the right arrow key or just touch the slide to go on to the next page and explore some haikus.
And this video is fully playable. I've added some tools here that you can use to engage students. They're all integratable through Google Classroom, or if you don't use Classroom, you can use them on your own. This is Jamboard. Next, I have Flipgrid, and then a Google form. So these are a lot of fun tools. This is Quizizz, and these slides can be submitted through Classroom, but again, if you don't use Classroom, that's not a big deal. I'll go over how to share from Google Classroom at the end, but if you don't use Classroom, you can still use all these tools. I've got a choice board at the end. This is one way to present a choice board, and another way to present a choice board is through a Bitmoji scene. I've got some hidden links in here. I've got some math games hidden on the calculator, and I've got reading links on the book. So those are some fun ways to make a choice board. Let's get started making these slides. I'm in a new Google Slides presentation, so let's clean up our workspace. I'm going to close out these themes. Then I'm going to make this slide a blank slide by dragging my cursor down, highlighting both these boxes, and pressing delete. Now I'm going to title my presentation and get started. First, let's set a background color. I'm going to select color, and that is a little bright. So let's go down to custom and just drag this down till I get a color in this little bubble that I like. And that's better. I could even tone it down just a little bit more. A little lighter. There we go. I like that better. Okay. So now let's choose a font for our title. Well, before we choose a font, we've got to insert a text box. So I'm going to select text box here and then just click my cursor down to insert the text box. I'm going to use a font called Roboto Mono. You guys know, if you've been watching my videos, that I love this add-on, Extensis Fonts, and this gives me lots of different font options. So if you want to play with fonts, this is a great tool for that. But I'm going to go ahead and use this one and title my slide. Let's make this a little bit bigger. I'm going to click here and select, let's say 24. Yeah, maybe a little bigger, or yeah, that's good. I like that. Now with this purple background, I think I want a lighter text color. So I'm going to select text color, and rather than the bright white, I'm going to do the gray that's right next to it. It's kind of like a light gray white. And then I'm going to right click, 2 fingers on my trackpad, select font options, and I'm going to pick drop shadow because I really like the way that that looks. And because this is the title, maybe I'll just bold that to make it pop a little. Let me close out these format options to make our workspace a little better. So there we go. We got started. And now I'm going to insert another text box. You can either just, extend this text box, insert another text box, whatever you like, since there's lots of ways to do things with technology. And I'm going to drag this down a bit because I do want this one to be bigger. And I'm going to highlight some of this text in my top box and select Paint Format. So I can change this to be the same format. Let's drop this down to 14. So this looks good, but I don't see that drop shadow on there. So let me just check on that. Right click, 2 fingers on the trackpad, then format options and drop shadow. Excellent. And you know what? Maybe I'm going to make this an 18. 14 looks a little bit small. Yeah, that's better. Okay. Make this a little bit longer. And now I have an extension on Chrome that allows me to add different emojis, and I have an extensions video that shows you all about this one. I will drop it in the description box below this video so you can check that out. How to install it, how to find it, all of that is in the video. So you can see I've used this star recently, but I could just search for it and different star options will come right up. I like to use this one. It's now copied as soon as I clicked on it, so I can just go down to my text and paste it right in. Control V to paste right in. And then just insert the rest of my lesson objectives. Okay, so I've got my objectives. Just a couple things left to do. One is I'm going to use another extension that I have, my Bitmoji extension, which I love. I like to put little personal touches into my slides. And again, this is in my extensions video. And let's look for read or books or something along those lines. This is the one that I used. I'm just going to drag and drop it. And just put it right over here on the side. I want to make sure that it's in the middle, so I'm going to go to Arrange, Center on Page, vertically. Great. So now I want to put some directions on the bottom, and I'm actually going to just scoot this down a bit so it's a little away from that line of text. I want to put some directions on the bottom for the students. So I'm going to insert a shape. I'll do a rectangle. I also like this rounded rectangle, whichever one you want to use. And just click and drag. And now I want this shape to be transparent. And I do want to keep the border color, but I want to make it the same color I made my fonts. And I want a nice thick border. I like an 8-pixel border. So now we just need to type in our directions. Shapes come with text boxes already in them, so you can just go ahead and type your directions in. Okay, so I do want this text to be the same as this. So again, I'm just going to highlight this, get my little paint roller, and highlight this. And there we go. That looks good. So my directions are based on the fact that I'm planning to use the publish to web feature. So your directions might be a little different if you're going to share it just as slides. So you can modify accordingly. And at the end, when I talk about sharing options, we can talk about some of those modifications. So I'm going to do a new slide. And again, I'm just going to click down and drag till these are highlighted and delete. And I'm going to do my background color again. Choose a color. And now you'll see that your custom colors are right here at the bottom. So this lighter one is the one I went with. So that's the one that I want. So that was easy enough to do. And in fact, I know I'm going to be needing a bunch of these slides. So what I'm going to do to save time later is I'm going to highlight this slide on the left and press Command or Control D several times to duplicate that blank slide, because that'll make my life easier. So let's go on to the next slide. Okay, so this is my engage slide. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert a shape, and I want it to be a rectangle, and I want a nice thick black border. So I'm going to select black and 8-point, and then I'm going to put some text in here. So let me choose my font. I'm going to go with the Roboto Mono. And let's see, let's make that a little bigger. And we can go ahead and use our alignment tool to center it, maybe bold it. And actually it can probably go even just a little bit bigger. Excellent, that looks good. So this is my engage slide. So, and in fact, I probably should have duplicated my slides after I made this box, because then I can just change the word right in there. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate a few more slides, because that, again, will just be time saving later, and I can delete whatever slides I don't use. So in the next slide, I had some directions. So let's go ahead and insert a text box. And then I'm going to highlight this text and change the font. And let's change the font color again to that light gray. And let's make this bigger. There we go. That looks good. So, one more thing. Let me right click, format options, drop shadow. There we go. And I think I'm going to bold that as well. And by the way, when you see me highlight really fast, that's a triple click. click 3 times and all your text highlights. So now let's insert our video. Before I insert my video, I know I want it to be on a screen, like a computer monitor or a TV screen. So let's go to Insert, Image, Search the Web. I'm going to try transparent computer monitor. And let's try this one. Just drag and drop it over. That looks good. So I'm just going to, actually, I don't like that resize. I'm just going to Command Z or Control Z, and I'll put in the video and then I can resize accordingly. But when I resize, I generally like to do it by the corner because it maintains the width and height. Let's move this over a little and let's find our video. So you go to the YouTube video that you've selected that you want to use for your class, hit share, copy the link, and then come back to your slides, go to insert video, and you can either do a search here within slides for YouTube videos, or you can just go to by URL and then just paste in the URL using Control V or Command V. And there we go, we have our video. So I definitely need to resize this monitor a little bit to fit my video. And I'm going to do that again by dragging and dropping the corners. I'm going to close out this format options on the right to give myself some more room to work with. And let's see if this fits. Okay, so it needs to be a little thinner. Oops, Command Z. And a little longer. Okay, now let me just put that in there. Okay, so that just about fits. Before I get it perfectly in there though, I want to arrange my slide the way that I want it. So let me just move this video to the side. I'm going to put the video, that looks good right there. So I need to play around with this text box a little bit. That looks good. Now let me get my video in the screen the way that I want it. And I'm just dragging and dropping the sides a little bit so I don't get overzealous. There we go. That looks good. And now the video is on the screen. I've got my text. I can also insert an audio clip here if I want to. So, oh, actually, wait, I want to show you one thing before we go on to the audio. I'm going to click on the video itself. I'm going to right click and go to format options, and just notice that there's a start at and end at option here. So if you don't want to show the whole video, you just want to show part of it, you can tell the slide when to start and when to end. So that's a really nice feature as well for you to play with. Okay, so let's do the audio. I'm going to go to a website called Vocaroo, and I'm going to record my message. Watch the video on this page and then press the right arrow to go on and explore some haikus. And save and share, and then I'm going to download that. And then I need to go to my drive. When I get to my drive, I can either just grab it from the bottom left and drag it in, or I can go to my downloads folder and find it that way, and it uploads to your drive. I highly recommend you change the name of the file by going to rename so you can find it later. And you also need to change the share settings. So you need to go to share, only people added with this link. So that's not what we want. We want anyone to be able to do this. So let's click anyone with the link. Anyone with the link can view, which with audio would be listen to, and done. I also have an audio files folder, and what I like about that is not only is everything in there and I know where to find them, I actually changed the share settings on the folder. So then anything that's in that folder has those share settings. I don't need to go back and change the individual share settings of my audio files. So let's go insert our audio clip. And it's the most recent one.
Watch the video on this page.
Yep, that's the right one. I'm going to move it right here, and I'm going to change some of these settings. I'm going to do automatically, so when I have that published to web version, or if it was in presentation mode, this audio is going to play automatically. And since it's going to play automatically, I can hide the icon. I don't need to see the icon. I also want to stop on slide change. So when the slide changes, that audio will stop. I'm not going to chuck off loop audio, but if you have a sound effect or music or something like that, you want to loop the audio. So that's it for this slide. So let's go on to the next one. So this is my explore slide. And this is the one where I'm going to have a Jamboard. So let's insert a text box. You might even want it to be pure white, the text. That's a personal preference. I think that this is a little easier on the eyes. And again, let's X this out. So what I did for the Jamboard is I found an image of the Jamboard logo. And I just typed in Jamboard and went to images. And sometimes there's a logo option up here. It's probably because I had that rogue period in the back. So let's try this one. I'm going to right click, copy image, and go back. This one looks like it's going to be transparent, and it's not. It's a fake PNG. So let's go to remove.bg. And paste that image in here. And I'm going to Control V, or Command V actually. And it removes the background. So you can either download it or you can just copy and paste it. I'm going to right click, copy image, and paste it on in here. There we go. And there's my Jamboard. And I also put a Bitmoji on this slide, a detective Bitmoji. Just drag and drop it in and then resize. And then I can move this a little bit. Okay, so let's go explore Jamboard a little bit. And this is the Jamboard that I linked to, and I'll show you how I made it. So I have some haikus on here, but let's go to a new Jamboard. Okay, I'm going to just hit this plus sign on the bottom right. This takes me to a new Jamboard. And I just went to a website. And I did a screenshot. And for me, on my Mac, that's Command-Shift-4. On a PC, you can use the snipping tool. And on a Chromebook, it would be Control-Shift and the Windows-Shift key. So let's go back to our Jamboard, which we need to title, and add image. And my screenshots go to my desktop. So I'm going to pick my desktop and the most recent screenshot. I always sort by date modified, so my most recent is at the top. And then just resize it and move it around. You can add another page with more haikus or whatever you like. And the great thing about Jamboard is it's really just an interactive whiteboard. You can use a pen, you can write on it. I just pressed Command Z to undo that, but this is also an erase tool. And there's sticky notes. So you can put sticky notes. And I just press save. That sticky note goes up. Another one shows up here, a blank one, so you can add as many as you like. You can change the color of the sticky note, and this one's transparent, and a transparent sticky note looks like this, but you can just move it around the screen. So you could even have students leave feedback on here with various sticky notes. So that's Jamboard. To share my Jamboard, I just press share. Right now it's restricted, so I'm going to change it to anyone with this link. Now you can, if you want them to interact with it, you would make them an editor. If you just want them to read the haikus, you can leave it as viewer. So, oops, I forgot to copy the link, so let me go back to share. Yep, anyone on the internet with this link can view. So let me copy the link. Then I'm going to go back here, select this image, and then I'm going to choose this little link icon at the top and paste in my link, Command V. And now this goes to my Jamboard with my haiku samples. So Jamboard's a great interactive tool where kids can leave feedback, they can leave their ideas. You could leave one warm feedback, one cool feedback. You can have them leave their thoughts, leave one piece of constructive criticism, leave what are the common themes that you see here, what do you notice about these, whatever you want to ask, and then they can leave their sticky notes there. So let's go on to the next slide. So our next slide is our explain. Now, a great tool for explaining is Flipgrid. Flipgrid is a lot of fun. So let's set up the slide and then I'll show you Flipgrid. And now let's add a couple other things for decoration. I am going to go to Jiffy. Jiffy's a great website if you're looking for GIFs, and they also have stickers. So I'm going to add in some arrows. And you can see there's a few here. I'm going to click on stickers and see what they've got here. So these are the ones I use. So I'm going to just click on this little link and go back, insert image by URL, and just paste in my URL, Command V, and insert. It takes a second, and then notice they're pointing the wrong way. So this little blue dot at the top, I just grab that and rotate until I get them the way that I want them. So this looks good. You could keep rotating a little more if you like. And I also had a Bitmoji in here. So let's take a look for that. Okay, I found this one with the search term talk. And again, I just drag and drop it. But this one has a lot of words in it. So let's get rid of some of these words. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to double click on this image box until it comes gray like that. And then I'm going to drag it down. This is the cropping window. So let's see if that's enough. Let me get out of there. Okay, that's enough because even though I can still see these, I don't want to crop her head off. So I'm actually, even though I just set this stuff up, I didn't do this in a very good order because I kind of want this out of the way now so I can work with this Bitmoji. I should have done that first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert an image. No, I'm not. I'm going to insert a shape. And I'm going to pick a rectangle because these words are kind of rectangular in shape. I'm going to cover the words with this rectangle. For the background color, I am going to choose my custom color that I made the background, and I am going to make a transparent border around that shape. So now the words are gone. But what I'm also going to do is I'm going to drag my cursor over until both of these things are highlighted. You can see the Bitmoji's highlighted, and also this blue box where the rectangle is highlighted. I'm going to right click and select group. These two items are now linked together. So if I move this Bitmoji, that rectangle goes with her. So I don't have to worry about messing that up. So now that's all set. Now I can put everything else back in place and we can go make our Flipgrid. Okay, so here's the problem. is I made my rectangle after I made my arrows, so it's covering them up, but that's easily solved. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click and press order, and I want to send that to the back. So it's behind the arrows, and there we go, it's solved. And let's go make our Flipgrid so we can link it right here. Okay, so this is Flipgrid. If you haven't signed up, you can just do an educator sign up. Log in, and it's great because it has a login with Google option. I always try and keep everything as simple as possible. I do not want students having to remember logins. I make everything that I assign where they can log in with Google so they don't have to remember those passwords. So let's add a new grid. And for school, I would choose school email, and then you just put in the domain of your school. The domain is at whatever. So so maybe like at your school district, everything after the at is your domain. So I'm just going to click this one because it's easier for the demonstration purposes. And next. I don't want to add a password. This is only an option for the educator learning community one, so you can ignore that. So I could copy the Flipgrid link right here, go back, highlight this image, click on my link, paste it in, and that's going to take me right to my Flipgrid. But I do just want to show you a couple other things. So this is the one that I was playing with earlier, and this is how I set it up. Tell me what you've learned about haikus. Tap the green plus below to open the camera, and then the students just open this. I can't show you how to do that because my camera's already in use right now, but it's very simple. They just press that plus sign and they record their video. You select how long you want for the video. The minimum is 1:30 minutes. I picked 2 minutes, so something in that ballpark. I'm sure you don't want to listen to 10 minutes on haikus per student. So this is a great tool where students can explain to you what they have learned. So Flipgrid is a lot of fun. Our next slide is elaborate. So for elaborate, they could show you what they've learned. Can they write a haiku? So there's a couple different ways to do this. One is you can put in a shape, like a rectangle. So the students can type right here. So if you do this option, you cannot publish to web. You would have to share these in Google Classroom or a similar forum and make a copy for each student in order for them to be able to type in it. So again, if you're gonna have students put work right in the slides, make sure you share to Classroom as an assignment and make a copy for each student. For English class, you might have them write in it. For math class, you might want students to insert an image of their work so they can show you the work that they've done on paper. So that's just some other options. But what I did was I used a Google form. Okay, so I used all the same tools that we've been doing so far to get all these things in the slide. I used the term pencil as my Bitmoji search term to get this Bitmoji. Now let's look at making a Google form. So I'm going to title my form. And you can either make this like I did in a new form, or you can make it right from Classroom. It's up to you. Title it. So once I typed it here, I just had to click here to get that title. I always put name and make that a required question. And then I'm going to add one more question and make this a short answer. This is also a required question. I am doing this in forms and not quizzes because I don't need it to auto grade anything. If you want to make it into a quiz, you can do that right here and just say make this a quiz. Then I'm going to go to send and get the link, copy it, go back to my slide, click on this image, press link, and copy it right in. And now this link Takes me right to my form. So that's great. And one thing that I really like about Google Forms is that this is my questions tab, this is my responses tab. So I can see no one's responded yet. So, but I can tell when kids are working on it because this updates every time someone responds. There's also this little green button that generates a spreadsheet so I can look at all the responses together, which is really useful. So let's go on to our next slide. Our next slide is evaluate. So for evaluate, I used Quizizz. So let's set up the slide and then we'll take a look at Quizizz. So Quizizz.com is also a great tool for evaluation. And one thing that's really fun is Quizizz, after you get a question right or wrong, it will show you a meme, a right or wrong meme. And I have a lesson where I have the kids make memes for me. And so I can actually add the memes that my students make and use them in Quizizz. So for feedback, they'll get memes that they or their classmates made, which is a lot of fun. I'll put that link to that tutorial in the description box below as well. But you can either make your own quiz or you can search for quizzes that are already here. So obviously before you assign anything, you would go through and figure out which one is appropriate for your students. You can also edit them. So if you want to use, say one has 10 questions and you only want to use 5, you can do that too. So if I selected this one, I could assign as a homework. And if you have classrooms attached, you can go ahead and assign it to your class. If you didn't want to assign it through Google Classroom, you can get a game code through Quizizz, and that'll allow them to join as well. So that's an option if you're not on Classroom. I'm going to show you one that I assigned earlier, actually, because you can see this one is already graded. So that's what I like about assigning Quizizz through Google Classroom is if I give these out to students, even if they haven't submitted the slides yet, I can tell, oh, but they did the Quizizz, so they are working on it. So that's why I prefer to assign it through Classroom, but you can assign it, like I said, through the game code. If you don't use Classroom, you can still absolutely use Quizizz. So let's go back to our classwork tab. This is the one that I just assigned, and you can go here to these 3 dots, copy link, go back, highlight this, put this link right in that image, and now the link here is the link to the assignment on Classroom. So that's how you can do a direct link to any assignment on Google Classroom. And then the students can just click here, they sign in, and they do their Quizizz game. So that's the evaluation piece. Then I had a couple of different choice board options. So for the choice board, it's really the same thing. For the words at the top, I did word art. And when you hit enter, it just automatically makes it the right size for the page. And for a fill color, I chose like an aqua, but again, that's a little bright for me. So I'm going to go to custom and just drag this down till it's a lighter aqua. And I like that better. And then image, search the web. I'm going to look for a transparent whiteboard. Okay. I'm going to select this one. I don't want those desks and all, but I can easily crop those out. I'm going to double click till I get that gray box, drag this up to crop that out, and just click outside to finish that. And actually, you know what? I'm going to crop again because I want to make this box smaller so it's a little easier to work with. So let me just drag these sides in because I don't need that extra space. There we go. And let's just get rid of this on the side. And now I can make this bigger to fit on my slide better. And all I did for my choice board was I found icons for the activities that I wanted to include in my choice board and put links on them, just like we've been doing all along in this tutorial. So whatever links are appropriate for your choice board for your class, you can go ahead and put those on your choice board. And the other option that a lot of people might like as a choice board is using a Bitmoji classroom. So I have some Bitmoji scenes that I've made in another slideshow, so I'm just going to go over to that one. And so this is the one that I liked. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to File, Download, PNG Image, and that's just going to download the slide that I am on. So now let's go back and go to Background, Choose Image, Browse, and it should be in my downloads right at the top. There it is. And there we go. Now I've got my Bitmoji scene in here that I can hide different activities for a choice board. So the way that you hide activities is you insert a shape. I'm going to do a rectangle because this calculator is roughly rectangular. So I make a rectangle that covers the calculator, and then I make the background color, or the fill color transparent and the border color transparent. So it's an invisible rectangle. And then I can put a link right on that rectangle. So if you've got a link that you want to put in, Cool Math Games is what I put on the calculator. You can apply that, or you can copy and paste one in if you have one. So you can do the same thing. You can put in another blank shape over anything in the picture. You could put one over the book and put in a reading activity. You could put one and then just add a link to this shape by clicking link and putting in a reading activity. You could put an art activity on the painting, whatever you like, whatever works for you and your students, whatever you have subscriptions to or access to, or free websites like Cool Math Games. So that's really it. That's two different ways to do the choice board. And now let's look at different ways to share this. So first of all, I'm going to get rid of these extra slides. I'm just going to highlight them on the left and hit delete. So the way that I am planning to share this is I am going to File, Publish to the web. So when I do that, I don't want it to auto advance, so I don't want to start. I'm just going to hit publish. Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. And I'm going to press Command C or Control C to copy this link. And then I'm going to click on my little icon on the top right. Now, just let me close this out. There's two icons here. There's the one in Slides and there's the one in Chrome. Make sure you're clicking on the one in Chrome and go to Guest and paste in that URL. And now you can see what it looks like from the student's point of view. They can go
Watch
in.
the video on this page and then press the right arrow to go on and explore some haikus.
They can go in and all these links work. So let's create an assignment. Well, actually, let's think about how we want to share this. So for me, I'm sharing this as a publish to web. So it doesn't have a grade itself attached to it. If I wanted to have a grade attached to it for the various components like the Flipgrid and the Quizizz and the different things that we did, then I would want to create an assignment and title it. So I'm going to add a link for my publish to web link. And that's my link here. And give whatever instructions I want to give. I want it to be for this class. I want it to be for all students. I can put my due date and my topic. So it'll show up. If I want to add a rubric, I can do that. And I can assign it now, or I can schedule it for later. One thing that's cool about Publish to Web is any updates that you make will show up for the students. So if I want to make a change, even after I post this, I can make changes and it'll still show up on their end. So for example, I could assign this and then I can go, and it's this one right here at the top of week of June 7th. I can go to copy link. And I can add a slide about submitting to Google Classroom. I can highlight this picture, add a link, and I can paste the link to my assignment in Google Classroom. So now when I click this, it takes me right to my assignment in Google Classroom, and the students can see the assignment right here. And actually, let's take a look at it from the student's point of view. So this is the assignment from the student's point of view. So we've got mark as done here on their page. And so when they're done with all the work, that's what they need to do, is come back and mark this as done. And we can see what these slides look like from their point of view by clicking here. So let's go back. So you could, rephrase this. Don't forget to mark as done on Google Classroom. You can also, if you don't want to do the publish to web version, you could easily do an assignment. You could do an assignment and you could just select the slides from your Google Drive. These are the slides that we just made. As we made them, you can just do students can view file. They can't mess up anything on your slides. They can't move anything around. They can only look at it. But remember, we talked about the option of putting in a text box in the files themselves for the students to write their own haiku. Or, for example, if you're a math teacher and you want to put in an image for how to show their, or where they show their work, put an image of the piece of paper they did their work on. In that case, you want to make a copy for each student. The only thing about make a copy for each student is any changes that you make on the slides after you assign this is not going to show up. It's like making photocopies. Once those copies are made, changes to the original aren't going to change the copies. And one last thing about sharing is material. So material is a great option. If you're just sending out material for them to read or view, it's automatically view only. You don't have any options to make copies or anything like that because you don't need to. These are all automatically view only. So anytime I'm sending out just videos or reading materials, then you can do it in Google. You can just do it in materials. If you want to know how to share files with your students, my co-moderator of the Bitmoji's Craze for Educators group, Jillian Graham, has an awesome tutorial on how to share your work with students. I'm going to drop the link in the description box below because a lot of this stuff, like publish to web, I learned from her tutorial. So I highly suggest that you watch it. So anyway, I hope that you learned a lot from this tutorial. If you have any questions or comments, put them in the comments below. If this was helpful to you, please tell all your teacher friends about it, and I'll see you guys soon.